Faith has long been seen as a deeply personal and spiritual experience, but modern neuroscience is revealing that it is also a powerful force that physically shapes the brain. When people engage in prayer, meditation, or any form of spiritual reflection, something remarkable happens inside the mind. Studies using advanced brain imaging technologies such as fMRI and SPECT scans have shown that these activities significantly influence brain activity and chemistry. One of the most notable discoveries is that the frontal lobes, the regions responsible for focus, self-control, and decision-making, become more active during deep states of faith and prayer. This activation helps improve concentration, emotional regulation, and mental clarity, making individuals more resilient in the face of stress and uncertainty. At the same time, the amygdala, which governs fear, anxiety, and stress responses, shows reduced activity. This neurological pattern means that faith not only inspires calmness on a spiritual level, but also promotes biological tranquility in the brain's emotional centers. Dr. Andrew Newberg, a leading neuroscientist in the field of neurotheology, has spent decades studying how faith and prayer affect the human brain. His research reveals that individuals who pray regularly or meditate exhibit more synchronized neural activity and a stronger sense of inner peace. In his studies of Buddhist monks and Christian nuns, Newberg observed increased blood flow to the frontal cortex and decreased activity in the parietal lobes, which are associated with perception of boundaries between the self and the world. This suggests that faith-based practices can foster a feeling of unity, connectedness, and transcendence. From a neurological perspective, such experiences quiet the brain's fear circuits and heighten regions tied to empathy, compassion, and positive emotional states. The brain's neuroplasticity also plays a crucial role in this process. Repeated faith practices such as prayer, chanting, or mindfulness train the brain to become more stable and balanced over time. Just as physical exercise strengthens muscles, spiritual exercises strengthen neural connections that promote peace, patience, and emotional control. This helps explain why people with strong faith often recover more quickly from emotional distress or trauma. Their brains have been conditioned to return to a state of equilibrium through regular activation of calming pathways. The result is greater psychological flexibility and a heightened ability to cope with life's challenges without becoming overwhelmed. In addition to changing brain activity, faith also influences the release of important neurotransmitters. When individuals pray or meditate, their brains often release dopamine and serotonin chemicals associated with joy, reward, and emotional well-being. These neurochemicals help lift mood, reduce feelings of sadness, and promote motivation. In contrast, anxiety and chronic stress increase cortisol levels, which can damage neurons in the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for memory and learning. By lowering stress hormones and increasing feel-good neurotransmitters, faith acts as a natural medicine that protects and nourishes the brain. Moreover, the impact of faith extends beyond the individual level to how people perceive their environment and make decisions. Faith creates a mindset of trust and surrender, which reduces the brain's tendency to overthink or become trapped in cycles of worry. This cognitive shift allows individuals to approach problems with calmness and clarity instead of fear and panic. As the frontal lobes take charge and the amygdala quiets down, people experience more balanced emotional responses and improved mental focus. They are better equipped to make rational decisions under pressure and maintain hope during adversity. Faith, therefore, is not just a belief in something unseen, but a neurological experience that transforms how the brain operates. It strengthens the systems that regulate emotion, enhances the capacity for focus, and promotes a state of inner peace that benefits both mental and physical health. Neuroscientific research continues to reveal that the mind and spirit are deeply interconnected, and that faith has the power to reshape the very structure of the brain in ways that foster calmness. Clarity and resilience. Faith plays a profound role in reducing stress and protecting the brain from its damaging effects. Stress, especially when chronic, can deeply affect mental health and physical well-being by overloading the brain with cortisol, a hormone that prepares the body for survival but becomes toxic when present for too long. Elevated cortisol damages neurons, particularly in the hippocampus, which is essential for memory and emotional regulation, and it weakens connections in the prefrontal cortex, which governs focus, decision making, and self-control. Over time, chronic stress can shrink these critical brain regions, leading to anxiety, depression, and cognitive decline. However, research increasingly shows that faith acts as a protective buffer against this process, calming the nervous system and creating biological conditions that support recovery and resilience. Scientific studies have demonstrated that people with strong spiritual beliefs or active faith practices show lower levels of cortisol and other stress-related hormones. A study published in the Journal of Behavioral Medicine found that individuals who regularly prayed, meditated, or engaged in spiritual rituals had significantly lower stress biomarkers than those who did not. The reason is that faith promotes feelings of trust, safety, and hope, which counteract the brain's alarm signals. When a person believes that a higher power is in control or that life has meaning beyond temporary struggles, the brain's fear centers relax and the parasympathetic nervous system, responsible for rest and healing, takes over. This shift slows the heart rate, stabilizes blood pressure, and restores balance to the body's internal chemistry. Faith not only helps reduce stress in the moment, but also builds long-term emotional strength. People who turn to prayer, meditation, or scripture reading during difficult times tend to process challenges differently. They often view adversity as an opportunity for growth rather than a threat. This mindset changes how the brain responds to problems. Instead of overactivating the amygdala and producing an intense stress reaction, the brain engages the frontal lobes, which are responsible for reasoning, planning, and self-regulation. This pattern allows individuals to remain calm and find solutions even in the midst of crisis. Neuroscientists describe this as emotional resilience, a quality that faith naturally nurtures through repeated experiences of trust and surrender. In addition to hormonal regulation, faith influences the immune system, which is closely linked to stress and brain health. Chronic stress weakens immunity, increasing inflammation that can affect neural function and mental clarity. Faith-based practices, especially those involving gratitude, forgiveness, or compassion, have been shown to lower inflammatory markers in the body. These effects are not only psychological but biological. When people experience peace through prayer or a sense of purpose through belief, the brain signals the body to shift into a healing state. The immune system strengthens, energy levels rise, and the brain receives improved blood flow and oxygenation, all of which support cognitive performance and emotional stability. Another important factor is the social and emotional support that faith communities provide. Stress becomes more damaging when faced alone, but belonging to a group with shared beliefs offers comfort, encouragement, and understanding. Regular participation in faith gatherings, rituals, or communal worship reduces isolation and increases the production of oxytocin, the bonding hormone that promotes trust and emotional healing. This hormonal response directly counters cortisol and protects the brain from the loneliness and despair that often accompany chronic stress. In this way, faith connects neurobiology with social connection, creating a holistic form of healing. The protective power of faith also extends to how people interpret life events. When individuals believe that hardships have meaning, or that there is divine guidance behind their struggles, their stress response weakens. The brain reinterprets challenges as purposeful rather than purely painful, which reduces the intensity of emotional suffering. This belief-driven resilience allows the mind to maintain equilibrium even under pressure. Over time, these positive neural patterns become stronger through repetition, helping believers manage stress more efficiently in future situations. In essence, faith offers a neurological shield against the destructive effects of stress. It lowers harmful hormones, enhances positive neurotransmitters, strengthens immune function, and rewires the brain toward calmness and trust. Through consistent spiritual practice, the brain learns to replace fear with faith and anxiety with peace, creating an internal environment where healing and growth naturally flourish. Faith has a unique ability to transform the way people experience pain and suffering by giving meaning to their struggles. When individuals interpret pain through the lens of belief, they activate parts of the brain that help them cope more effectively and reduce emotional distress. Neuroscience has shown that the human brain is wired to search for meaning, and when it finds purpose in hardship, it processes pain differently. Studies using functional MRI scans reveal that people who attribute suffering to a higher purpose or divine plan show less activity in pain-related brain regions such as the anterior cingulate cortex and insula, areas associated with emotional suffering and physical discomfort. This means that faith does not eliminate pain, but it changes how the brain perceives and responds to it, allowing individuals to endure hardship with strength and hope instead of despair. One of the ways faith achieves this transformation is by reframing negative experiences. When people believe that their suffering serves a purpose, perhaps as a test of strength, a lesson, or a step towards spiritual growth, their minds move from "why me" to "what can I learn from this?" This mental shift activates cognitive pathways linked to problem solving and resilience rather than helplessness. The prefrontal cortex, which governs reasoning and meaning making, becomes more engaged, allowing a person to reinterpret their circumstances through logic and faith rather than fear. In turn, this reduces the intensity of the emotional pain experienced in the limbic system, the brain's emotional center. Faith also encourages emotional acceptance, a psychological state that reduces mental resistance to pain. Many religious and spiritual traditions teach surrender, patience, and trust during difficult times. These principles train the brain to accept reality instead of fighting against it, which decreases stress responses and emotional turmoil. Acceptance changes neural processing by lowering activation in the amygdala, which is responsible for fear and anxiety. As this region calms down, the body's stress hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline decrease, creating a state of peace even in moments of struggle. Faith, therefore, allows people to experience pain without being consumed by it, giving them emotional space to heal. Another vital way faith transforms pain is through hope. Hope acts as a psychological anchor, giving the mind a sense of control and anticipation for better outcomes. From a neurological perspective, hope activates the same brain networks involved in goal setting and motivation. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for planning and perseverance, communicates with the nucleus accumbens, which releases dopamine, the neurotransmitter linked to reward and pleasure. This interaction helps people maintain optimism even in difficult situations. Faith sustains this hope by offering a larger narrative that makes suffering temporary and meaningful rather than final and senseless. Moreover, faith fosters emotional connection and compassion, both of which play key roles in managing pain. People who believe their struggles can help them grow spiritually or empathize with others often report reduced feelings of isolation. This social and emotional perspective strengthens neural networks associated with empathy and bonding. Acts such as praying for others, sharing one's struggles, or finding comfort in Scripture stimulate the release of oxytocin, a hormone that soothes the nervous system and promotes feelings of trust and safety. As emotional isolation decreases, the brain's perception of pain also diminishes, proving that shared belief and connection can ease individual suffering. Faith also helps integrate painful experiences into a coherent life story. Psychologists call this process meaning making, and it is critical for mental health and brain harmony. When the brain can organize experiences within a framework of purpose, it reduces cognitive dissonance and emotional confusion. Believing that pain is part of a divine or moral journey helps restore psychological order, preventing trauma from fragmenting one's identity. People who engage in faith-based reflection often report a renewed sense of direction, showing that belief provides structure to life's chaos and turns suffering into spiritual strength. Ultimately, faith teaches the brain to reinterpret pain as an opportunity for transformation rather than destruction. Through meaning, acceptance, hope, and connection, faith reshapes the neurological pathways that define human responses to suffering. It empowers individuals to rise above their pain, not by denying it, but by giving it purpose, allowing the mind and brain to heal through belief, understanding, and resilience. Faith not only influences the inner workings of the mind, but also profoundly strengthens emotional health through the power of community. Human beings are social by nature, and the brain is wired to thrive in connection with others. Faith-based communities, whether churches, mosques, temples, or any gathering built on shared belief, provide the emotional and social support that modern neuroscience recognizes as essential to mental and physical well-being. Loneliness and isolation, by contrast, trigger stress responses in the brain that increase inflammation, suppress immunity, and heighten the risk of anxiety and depression. Faith communities counter these effects by fostering belonging, shared purpose, and emotional security, all of which activate the brain's reward and bonding systems. When individuals come together for worship, prayer, or fellowship, their brains release oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone. Oxytocin enhances trust, empathy, and social connection while reducing the activity of the amygdala, the brain's fear center. This chemical reaction creates a sense of calm and safety that allows people to open up emotionally and feel supported. Regular participation in spiritual gatherings strengthens these pathways, helping individuals build lasting relationships that serve as protective barriers against stress and despair. This biological process explains why people who engage consistently in communal faith activities often report lower rates of depression, stronger resilience, and greater life satisfaction. Faith communities also reinforce positive behaviors and thought patterns. Shared rituals, such as collective prayer, singing, or acts of service, generate synchronized brain activity among participants, a phenomenon known as neural resonance. This synchronization fosters unity and shared emotion, helping individuals feel part of something larger than themselves. It gives their lives structure, meaning, and consistency, which reduces feelings of uncertainty and anxiety. The brain responds positively to routine and predictability, and faith-based practices provide a comforting rhythm that stabilizes mental states and promotes emotional balance. Furthermore, faith communities offer a powerful form of emotional regulation through mutual support. When people share their struggles and receive empathy and understanding from others who share their beliefs, the brain experiences a reduction in cortisol, the primary stress hormone. This exchange of compassion and encouragement triggers the release of endorphins, natural painkillers that elevate mood and promote a sense of well-being. Over time, these emotional interactions train the brain to associate social connection with safety and comfort, creating healthier neural responses to stress. The act of supporting others also benefits the giver, as helping behaviors activate reward centers in the brain and strengthen feelings of purpose and self-worth. Another crucial aspect of faith communities is the moral and ethical framework they provide. This shared sense of values helps individuals navigate life's challenges with clarity and direction, reducing inner conflict and cognitive stress. Knowing that one's actions align with spiritual principles offers a sense of coherence and inner peace that stabilizes emotional states. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for judgment and impulse control, benefits from this structure because consistent moral guidance enhances decision-making and reduces internal turmoil. Faith-driven ethics thus contribute not only to moral growth but to neurological harmony. Collective worship and group faith experiences also stimulate the release of dopamine, the neurotransmitter associated with joy, motivation, and reward. Singing, dancing, or praying together produces an emotional high that reinforces the desire to connect again, strengthening both spiritual devotion and social bonds. These shared emotional experiences leave lasting imprints on the brain, creating neural associations between faith, happiness, and safety. This explains why many people describe feelings of peace, love, and upliftment after participating in spiritual gatherings. Their brains are literally rewarding them for connection and unity. In times of crisis, faith communities become vital sources of strength. The comfort of shared belief reduces fear and fosters hope, helping the brain remain calm even during adversity. People who feel supported by a spiritual group often recover faster from trauma or grief because the combination of emotional support, shared prayer, and collective meaning-making activates brain circuits related to resilience and recovery. This social, spiritual bond creates a feedback loop of healing where belief sustains community and community strengthens belief, resulting in emotional balance and mental protection that deeply nourishes the brain. Faith has a powerful connection to hope, and together they shape the way the brain functions, adapts, and heals. Neuroscientific research shows that hope activates the same regions of the brain responsible for planning, motivation, and goal setting, particularly the prefrontal cortex. This region allows people to visualize positive outcomes and take purposeful action toward them. Faith strengthens this process by reinforcing the belief that those outcomes are possible even in the face of uncertainty. When an individual holds faith in a higher power, destiny, or purpose, the brain interprets that belief as a form of safety and stability, reducing anxiety and encouraging optimism. This hopeful mindset activates neuroplasticity, the brain's remarkable ability to reorganize and form new neural connections, which is essential for healing from trauma, stress, and emotional damage. Faith influences the brain's chemistry in ways that directly support growth and resilience. When a person engages in faith-based thinking through prayer, meditation, or reflection, their brain releases dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure, motivation, and reward. Dopamine enhances focus and energy, making it easier to overcome difficulties. The feeling of hope sustained by faith acts as a natural antidepressant, promoting positivity and countering the effects of stress hormones like cortisol. This balance helps protect neurons from damage, allowing the brain to remain flexible and capable of recovery. Faith essentially trains the brain to look for light in the midst of darkness, building patterns of thought that encourage perseverance rather than defeat. One of the key ways faith strengthens hope is by providing a larger framework of meaning. When people believe that their lives have purpose or that there is divine guidance behind life's events, they experience a greater sense of control and direction. This belief prevents feelings of helplessness, which can shut down motivation and harm mental health. Instead, faith reinforces agency, the understanding that one's actions matter, even if the outcome is uncertain. This sense of purpose keeps the prefrontal cortex active and engaged, promoting logical decision-making, self-discipline, and emotional regulation. Through faith, individuals learn to delay despair and replace fear with endurance, keeping the brain in a balanced, productive state even during hardship. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change and adapt, is profoundly influenced by mindset. Faith-based hope encourages neural growth by creating repetitive patterns of positive thinking and emotional stability. When the brain repeatedly experiences belief in healing or improvement, it strengthens pathways that support calmness and motivation. Over time, this rewiring can reduce symptoms of depression, anxiety, and cognitive fatigue. For example, people who regularly engage in faith-driven affirmations or gratitude practices often show enhanced neural connectivity in regions related to happiness and empathy. These changes are measurable, showing that belief is not merely a psychological comfort, but a biological force that molds the brain toward resilience. Faith and hope also influence how people recover from adversity. Studies on patients suffering from brain injury, illness, or emotional trauma reveal that those who maintain strong spiritual or hopeful beliefs often recover faster. Their optimism translates into better adherence to treatment, healthier lifestyles, and stronger emotional coping mechanisms. Faith provides the internal motivation to persist, while hope activates the brain's goal-directed networks. This combination promotes healing on both psychological and neurological levels. The process of believing that things can improve becomes self-reinforcing. The more one practices hope, the more the brain learns to expect positive outcomes, and the stronger those neural circuits become. Another critical aspect of faith-driven hope is its ability to counteract negativity bias, the brain's natural tendency to focus on threats or failures. Faith helps redirect attention toward possibility, gratitude, and trust. This redirection lowers overactivity in the amygdala, which governs fear responses, and increases activity in the prefrontal cortex, which regulates emotion and promotes rational thinking. As fear subsides, creativity and problem-solving flourish, enabling individuals to find solutions even in challenging times. Faith, in this way, becomes a neurological training ground for optimism and persistence. Ultimately, faith fortifies the brain by linking belief with biological renewal. Through hope, it strengthens the neural circuits responsible for courage, learning, and emotional balance. Each act of faith, whether a prayer, a moment of trust, or a decision to believe in better days, teaches the brain that healing is possible. This continuous reinforcement builds mental strength, fuels motivation, and keeps the human spirit moving forward regardless of obstacles, proving that faith and hope together have the power to transform both the mind and the brain. Faith and science are often seen as separate worlds, yet research increasingly shows that the two can work together to support healing, especially when it comes to the brain. While medical treatments and psychological therapies address the biological and emotional roots of mental and neurological disorders, faith provides the spiritual strength and mental resilience that enhance recovery. Faith is not a substitute for medicine, but it is a powerful complement. Studies in neuroscience and psychology have demonstrated that people who maintain strong spiritual beliefs tend to recover faster from illness, adapt better to stress, and experience greater overall well-being. This connection between faith and healing is not simply emotional or symbolic. It has measurable effects on the brain and body. When patients approach healing with faith, their mindset changes in ways that directly influence the brain's chemistry. Faith-based hope activates neural networks associated with optimism, motivation, and self-control, particularly in the prefrontal cortex. These networks play a critical role in goal-directed behavior and emotional stability. Belief in a higher power or in the purpose of life encourages the release of neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, which promote calmness, joy, and motivation. At the same time, faith reduces the production of cortisol, the primary stress hormone that harms the hippocampus and weakens immune function. This biochemical balance creates a brain environment more conducive to healing, emotional regulation, and resilience. Research in psychoneuroimmunology, the study of how thoughts and emotions influence the immune system, supports this connection. Faith and prayer have been linked to reduced inflammation and stronger immune responses, both essential for brain repair and physical recovery. When a person experiences peace through prayer or feels supported by their belief system, the brain signals the body to activate healing mechanisms rather than remain in fight or flight mode. This shift strengthens immunity, improves sleep, and enhances neural recovery. Many patients report that faith gives them the strength to endure treatment, stay hopeful, and make healthy choices that accelerate their healing journey. Faith also plays a major role in shaping how people cope with illness or trauma. Patients who view their suffering as part of a larger spiritual journey often report less fear, anxiety, and depression than those who see their struggles as meaningless. By finding meaning in adversity, the brain reframes pain and loss, reducing activation in stress-related regions like the amygdala. This meaning-making process stabilizes emotions and prevents despair from taking hold. Faith creates a psychological buffer, turning helplessness into purpose and fear into acceptance. This transformation directly benefits the brain, as calmer emotional states allow for more efficient neural functioning and better decision-making during recovery. In clinical settings, Doctors and therapists increasingly recognize the importance of integrating faith or spirituality into patient care. Studies from institutions such as Harvard and Duke University have found that patients who engage in prayer or spiritual reflection during treatment show improved mental health outcomes and faster recovery rates. Faith gives patients a sense of partnership in their healing, a belief that they are not fighting alone. This perception of divine or moral support stimulates hope, which in turn activates neural circuits associated with perseverance and reward. Hopeful patients often adhere more closely to medical advice and exhibit stronger willpower, both of which are essential for long-term healing. Moreover, faith provides emotional and social resources that medicine alone cannot offer. Being part of a faith community gives patients access to empathy, encouragement, and practical support. These interactions increase oxytocin levels, the hormone associated with bonding and emotional safety, and lower the physiological effects of stress. In this way, the social aspects of faith amplify the biological benefits, creating a holistic approach to healing that includes mind, body, and spirit. Ultimately, the partnership between faith and science demonstrates that healing is not only a physical process, but also a mental and spiritual one. Medicine repairs the body, therapy strengthens the mind, and faith nourishes the soul. When all three work together, the brain finds balance, motivation, and hope. Faith reinforces the effectiveness of scientific treatment by promoting inner peace, reducing fear, and empowering individuals to believe in recovery. This belief fuels the brain's ability to heal itself, proving that the combination of faith and science offers one of the most powerful pathways to complete and lasting restoration.